You can transform into a god of thunder in Black Myth Wukong. In fact, the endgame is absolutely massive. There's a huge zone and it's filled to the brim with rewards, but also a secret ending that in my opinion gives the best weapon in the game. And there are many other unlockables that you should get before heading into New Game Plus, as well as even more mythical waiting for you in the new runs. Of course, huge spoilers ahead as we're going to talk about endgame as well as New Game Plus, so be warned, but in the meantime, let's jump right in. First things first, you absolutely want to make sure that you collect all the 5 Scandahs in your first playthrough. This is going to let you craft a special celestial pill, which is going to upgrade multiple of your stats, including giving you 30 into your HP, but also extra mana and stamina, which is going to be very helpful in the endgame. And this is by completing the Mandrill Chief questline, a character that you likely saw ever since the Chapter 1 map. So let me show you where you can find him, as well as the Scandahs he leaves behind. The first one is going to be the Scandah of Form, which you're going to find right here at the Front Hills waypoint in the Forest of Wolves, pretty much the first time you head over and unlock Immobilize by defeating the Bull Guard. But instead of heading over up the path, instead backtrack to the river behind you and you're going to notice the Mandrill Chief for the first time. He's going to interact with one of these statue heads, but once he's gone, go ahead and claim that Scandah right away. The second one is the Scandah of Feeling, and this is a drop from Shigandang, which is the second secret boss in the Fright Cliffs at the Rock Rest Flat. So once you unlock all those 5 Buddha Eyes, you can go in, unlock the boss fight, and this is going to be one of the drops that you get from it. The third one is the Scandah of Thought, and you're going to find it very close to the Mindfulness Cliff in Chapter 3. You're going to pretty much have to just circle around and jump down using this pillar right here to reach the same secret area we used before to get the Fury Gourd early on into Chapter 3. But by this point, you're going to just go past that and eventually you're going to reach this set of stairs, and it's bound to play that cinematic with the Mandrill Chief. So go ahead, interact with the same statue head, and this is going to give you the third item. For the fourth one, which is the Scandah of Choice, you need to progress until Chapter 4, Webbed Hallows, all the way to the Purifying Spring, after you have defeated a certain muddy encounter. But if you go past that into the next area with a bunch of cocoons, you're going to want to circle around the area and go to the other side. Going past the enemy, eventually you're going to reach this area with a bunch of other cocoons, and right next to it, you're going to see the Mandrill Chief again spawning right on top of the statue head. Interact with it and you're going to get the 4th legendary key item. Once you got the first 4 Scandahs, this is going to now automatically trigger a boss fight into Chapter 6 once you get close to it, which is also the one that drops the final 5th Scandah. So for that, progress up until then, and from the first waypoint, immediately jump onto your Nimbus and make your way in front of you, past that cliff where you initially encountered that golem resting on it. You're going to want to go past at it and eventually pay attention to a secret entrance to your right side. This is going to bring you through a canyon into eventually a desert zone, as well as this oversized mountain right here immediately transforming into the boss. Be careful, as it's also going to knock you out of the sky, so if you're not close to the ground, you're going to get a whole bunch of fall damage. But otherwise, that encounter is rather simple. Just keep your distance and avoid any of these shockwaves. Once the boss smashes one or both of its hands into the ground and they get stuck, immediately jump in and destroy these blue crystals on them. This is going to take huge amounts of damage out of it, and once it's done, you can then use one of its arms to climb at the top. Once at the top, you're going to encounter the Mandrill Chief one more time, which is also going to give you the final 5th Scandah, that of Consciousness. And with that, you're pretty much done with this. The only thing you need left is to head over back to Shoe Dog, either back in the Painted Realm or just where you met him in the cellar. And he's then going to craft you the 5 Scandah pill, which is going to give you permanent stat upgrades. Like I said, 30 into your HP, but it also boosts your HP, mana, stamina, and a bunch of other stats. Now, before you jump into the endgame or New Game Plus, there's one more thing I recommend, and that is to max out your Gourd. Get the Supreme Mythical Gourd, which also comes with 10 charges, and you will get to do that in Chapter 5. So for this, you need to first have upgraded your Gourd all the way to 9, so this is going to be legendary quality, and for the 10th, you just need to talk to that old man one more time. So head over to the Furnace Valley once you've done all of this, starting at the Rakshasa Palace, and just follow the normal path. Going up these bridges up until you reach the junction, and instead of going right side the normal path, take it to the left, and then up in front of you, you're going to see a building. Inside there should be a bonfire as well as the old man next to it. So go ahead, have the conversation, and then interact with the bonfire. This is then going to give you the max level mythical upgrade to the gourd, which is going to make it much better and pretty much get you ready for the true endgame. Of course, before you head in and complete the game, there are a few more things you can do, even in Chapter 6. So don't just go for the 5 main bosses in the area that unlock that mythical armor and the Jigumbang stuff. There are 2 more bosses that can actually provide some extra gold threads, which you will need for some of the endgame armor crafting. So first of all, from the waypoint, head over to the left side and just go past one of these upper lake areas. If you go to the other side, you're going to see a rock formation in the middle, and this is the one that you want to look for because this is one of the first poison chiefs. Defeating it is going to give you a gold thread. There's also a second one pretty much opposite side of the valley, so go over the big lake up until you see another upper cliff section. And again, if you go past it, you're going to eventually see an open field with another big rock in the middle. That's the second poison chief. Defeat it, and you're going to get another one. And from here, you can now go ahead and complete the game by defeating the final first boss. Basically, just go ahead and complete it the normal way. But once you have defeated your opponent, do not jump into a new cycle. Don't start New Game Plus. Just go and continue from that point on in your current world. You really want to do that because this is how you're going to get access to the true secret ending of the game, which is going to open up even more cool stuff. But for this to have happened, you're going to first need to unlock all the 5 secret areas plus the secret mission. So this includes the secret ancient Guanyin temple in chapter 1, also the kingdom of Sahali secret area in chapter 2, also the green capped martialist questline in chapter 3. We talked about this before. This also opens up the melon field waypoint, and this is where you're going to have to complete it. Then in chapter 4, make sure you unlock the Purple Cloud Mountain and defeated the final boss in it. And finally, in chapter 5, unlock the Pishui Cave and also destroy the final boss in it. I've already covered all of these sections before, so I'm going to put the links down below for all of them and how you can follow them, as that's going to be a very long discussion and also have their own tracks. Once you are done with all of these, you can now go to the true and final ending, which is going to be in the 3rd chapter at the Great Pagoda. You likely encountered this, but to give you a refresher, you can start at the Snow-Veiled Trail, which is on the normal path, and just take the slope downwards for this bridge. Just pass the bridge and you should already see that huge pagoda in the distance very close. So from this point on, head towards it, and once you are at the entrance, go inside. If you successfully completed all of those 5 secret areas, you should see the 5 canvases on each side of the pagoda being pretty much revealed, with only one final 6th left in the middle. That means you're on the right track, so you can approach it and start the final encounter. Now, I will not spoil this boss fight at all because it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the best boss fights I have ever seen in any video game. But once you defeat that final encounter, one of the biggest rewards you get is the tri-point double-edged spear. So this is going to be one of the best mythical weapons in the game, a full-on upgrade to the Chubai spear, giving you 135 attack and 6% critical hit chance. But it goes a step above because it's also going to make your forceful thrust to now shoot swords from the staff when you attack with it, besides integrating the spear techniques in your light combo chain and just making all the thrust stance moves deal more damage. So it's literally one of the best weapons in the game. It's absolutely going to shred enemies, and yes, it absolutely triggers that volley of forceful thrust swords even at one single focus point. This is what makes it so absolutely crazy. You're going to just shred enemies like no tomorrow. It's not going to look like the prettiest. I think it could have been made a bit better, but honestly, it doesn't really matter when you look this cool pulling off all of these combos. Another thing that you get is the Azure Dome transformation. This might be just the best one in the game. You of course transform into a large stone monkey that has a bunch of primal attacks, a lot of earth-shattering attacks and slams that absolutely destroy enemies. Again, if you played through that secret mission, you will be familiar with these. So it's a very strong option to have, and yeah, you're definitely going to love it. Now, besides this, if you head over into New Game Plus, this is where a few things start to happen, and you're going to get access to 3 additional mythical weapons, all with some very super unique effects. which may be stronger than the ones you got in the normal playthrough. So this includes a Dark Iron Staff, then we also have a Storm Flash Long Staff, and then of course the Adept Spine Shooting Fuban Staff. So let me show you what they each do. Starting with the Dark Iron, which is going to require even more of those Bull King's Iron Horns to craft, so 2 out of 2, which means you either have to sacrifice creating that armor set or just have multiple playthroughs until you can unlock it. But assuming you can craft it, this is going to considerably increase attack based on your defense, on top of the fact that it comes with 110 attack. What this means is that this is the perfect combination with a high defense armor set such as the Bull King. So just to give you an example, my attack with it is just a bit over 100 with a normal default non-defensive gear set. So that's 125 defense, which is going to translate to 128 attack. However, if I go with the full bulk set as well as go in and invest a bit into defense to get it to 505, you will see that my attack is now almost doubled to 185. Mix in a bunch of buffs or some of the passive effects from the skill trees and you can pretty much full on get 200 attack with this weapon. So basically double your damage. So this is now going to absolutely destroy enemies. You deal double damage constantly by default anyway, which also, by the way, increases the further you get damaged in that bull set, because this is also going to further increase your defense by another 100. So you can exceed double damage even by quite a bit. Hell, you can probably go way into the high 600s of attack rating by just implementing the Gore Eye Daoist in your routine and also getting the Spellbinder. You're going to just increase that damage to crazy levels and you don't really have to care about much. You're going to face tank everything anyway. But my favorite is probably going to be the Storm Flash Long Staff. This is going to be, of course, in the same skill tree where you have the other Long Staff, so you will have to sacrifice that to create this, but it is going to give you 140 attack and 9% critical hit, which I think is the highest in terms of damage. But it also draws thunder while charging and inflicts thunder damage with every staff attack when in shocked state. Basically, if you just charge it up to 2 focus points, you're going to see all of that electricity charging up into your body. You are going to be put under the shock state, but now your attacks will also spread the shock state damage against the target. And if, for example, you use the mobile spin, it's very easy to spread that and immediately create a full 100% build up, which is then going to make that enemy receive bonus shock damage with every hit against it. So much so that you're going to just shred through its HP like it's nothing. You can further combine this with the long scale battle robe armor set, which is going to give you even more Thunderbane damage, a lot of resistance to it as well. So you're going to absolutely blast through these enemies. It looks very fun, it plays very fun. So overall, something that I really recommend if you want to try out different playstyles. The final weapon you get is the Adept Spine Shooting Fuban Staff. So this is also a mythical, and even though it does have only 120 into attack, which is lower than the others, it comes with much higher critical hit chance, 25%, and also it spawns these spines to shoot in all directions once you hit enemies with heavy charged attacks. So the more focus points you have, like 3 or 4, the more damaging that it's also going to be. To the point that this seems to be the highest damage dealer by default when unbuffed. Like, you can easily pull off 2, 3, even 4k if you manage to perform critical hits. So much so that it's just amazing to use if you don't want to use anything but the smash stance. And on top of that, it also works at AoE. So if there's enemies close by to one another, you can ensure all of those spikes go into multiple directions in all enemies. Again, all of these are very fun, so much so that it's very hard to actually pick a main. The final thing you're going to unlock because of that secret ending is also the Freed Mind. So this is the only way you're going to get the 6th relic, and there are 3 options over here. So Elegance and Simplicity, this is going to moderately increase light attack damage. Unified Minds, this is going to make it so that when Destined One performs certain powerful moves, the duplicates will follow suit. You probably know of this, as this is also the one that deals the most amount of damage. Like, you can make your Strand attack to basically all cast super heavy 4 charged focus attacks. If you saw some of that, you know how absolutely devastating this is. And the final one, for a short duration after activating the life-saving strand, escapes death and gains significant damage reduction. Besides that, in New Game Plus, you also get the life-saving strand, which is basically a way to auto-resurrect. It does come with a 10-minute cooldown, but you can reduce that with some of these points right here. So as you defeat enemies, you're going to further reduce that cooldown. You can also instantly recover your gourd as you do it, and there are many other bonuses in here, like even giving you moderate amounts of mana back so that you can jump back into the combat and have even more chances to spam your abilities. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the end game of Black Myth Wukong. If you enjoyed this video, a sub to the channel would be really awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.